In today's video, we will look at how to solve linear equations with one and two variables. First, let's learn how to solve linear equations with one variable. A linear equation with one variable can be written in the form of ax plus b equals 0, where a and b are real numbers and a doesn't equal 0. To solve for a variable means to find the value or values of the variables that make the equation true. In order to solve for the variable, we must isolate the variable. So we have three examples below where we have to isolate and solve for x. If we look at our first example, our goal is to get x by itself. So first, let's get all our common variables on one side. So we can add 11 to both sides, which will give us 3x plus 7x is equal to 6x plus 20. Now we can subtract 6x from both sides, which will give us 3x plus 7x minus 6x is equal to 20. Now we can add up our common variables, and when we do so, we'll get 4x equal to 20. And to get x by itself, we can divide both sides by 4. And when we do so, we'll get a final solution of x is equal to 5. We're going to take the same process for our next example, but first let's simplify the equation as much as possible before we start combining like terms. So if we do so, we'll have 9x plus 4, and then if we distribute the negatives through our parentheses, we'll get negative 7x plus 2 is equal to 50x plus, when we distribute our 6 through our parentheses, we'll get plus 6x plus 6. Now our goal should be to get all our common variables to one side. So we can start with subtracting the 6 from both sides, which will give us 9x plus 4 minus 7x plus 2 minus 6 is equal to, and then if we add our 50x plus our 6x, we can get 56x. Now we can add 7x to both sides, as well as subtract 9x from both sides, which will give us 4 plus 2 minus 6 is equal to 54x. Now if we simplify both sides, we'll get 4 plus 2 is 6. 6 minus 6 is 0. So 0 equals 54x. And if we are to get x by itself, we can divide each side by 54, which will give us a final solution of x is equal to 0. In our last example, let's first distribute our 1/2 through our parentheses to get rid of the parentheses. So 1/2 times 3b will give us 3 over 2b plus 1/2 times 8 is 4 plus 3/4 is equal to a negative 1/2. We want to get b by itself, so we can subtract 4 and 3/4 from both sides, which will give us 3 over 2b is equal to negative 1/2 minus 3/4 minus 4. To simplify our right side of the equation, we're going to have to find a common denominator. When we do, we see the most common denominator we have is 4. So if we make the common denominator 4 for each number, we'll get negative 2 over 4 minus 3 over 4 minus 16 over 4. We can then simplify the right side of the equation by, when you take negative 2 minus 3, we get negative 5. Negative 5 minus 16 is negative 21 over 4. Now if we try to solve for b, we're going to have to multiply each side by 2 over 3, which will get b by itself and multiply it the right side by 2 over 3. We can simplify this as 2 goes into 2 once, 2 goes into 4 twice, 3 goes into itself once, and 3 goes into negative 21 7 times. So negative 7 over 2 times 1 over 1 will give us a final solution of b is equal to negative 7 over 2. Here we have an example where we can apply having one variable to solve for a railroad problem. And our example says 2 planes leave St. Louis, one flying east and the other flying west. The westbound plane travels 100 miles per hour faster than the eastbound plane, and after 1.5 hours, they are 750 miles apart. Find the speed of each plane. So we know that the westbound plane travels 100 miles per hour faster than the eastbound plane. So we have the speed of the westbound plane plus 100 miles per hour faster over a period of 1.5 hours. Plus we have the speed of the eastbound plane, which is, in this case, just x, after 1.5 hours. And after 1.5 hours, the planes are 750 miles apart. So now we have our equation. We can solve for x. So if we distribute our 1.5 through, we'll have 1.5x plus 150 plus 1.5x is equal to 750. If we combine like terms, we'll see that 1.5x plus 1.5x is equal to 3x plus 150 is equal to 750. We subtract 150 from both sides. It'll leave us with 3x is equal to 600. If we divide each side by 3 to get x by itself, we'll see that x is equal to 200. So now we know what x is equal to. We can find the speed of each plane. So the eastbound plane was going 200 miles per hour. And we can see that the westbound plane was going 100 miles faster than the eastbound plane. So that's 200 miles per hour plus 100 miles per hour, which will mean that the westbound plane was traveling at 300 miles per hour. So now we know the speed of each plane. Now we know how to solve linear equations with one variable. Now we can look at how to solve a linear equation that contains two different variables. Linear equations with two variables are usually written in the form of ax plus by is equal to c, where a, b, and c are real numbers, and where both a and b do not equal 0. So an example with values substituted into this form, we would have an equation that would look something like 5x minus 2y is equal to 11. So in our example below, it says find the ordered pairs for a given equation. Our linear equation says 2x plus 4y is equal to 20, and our ordered pair we have is x is given to us as 4, but y is unknown. So since x is 4 for this ordered pair, we can plug 4 in for x, and then we can solve for y. So 2 times 4 plus 4y is equal to 20. We know 2 times 4 is 8. So 8 plus 4y is equal to 20. If we try to get 4 by itself, we can subtract 8 from both sides. 4y is equal to 12. Now we can divide each side by 4 to get y by itself. And when we do so, we'll see that y is equal to 3. When we have a linear equation with two variables, we can use ordered pairs to plot the line of our linear equation. We can organize multiple ordered pairs into a table of values. The ordered pairs are usually expressed as x comma y and can be used as x and y coordinates in a Cartesian coordinate system. Plot our linear equation. So if we remember back to our equation that we had from our last slide, we had 2x plus 4y is equal to 20. And when we plugged in 4 for x, we saw that y was equal to 3. We can pick another variable. Say if we picked 2, we'll see that when we plugged 2 in for x, y was equal to 4. And then we can try to solve to find the y-intercept by setting x to 0. And when we did so, we found that y was equal to 5. And then we can find the x-intercept by setting y equal to 0. And when we did so, saw that x was equal to 10. Now that we have 4 ordered pairs, we can plot our ordered pairs on the Cartesian coordinate system to form a linear graph. So if we do so, and we start with 0, 5, we can plot our points 0, 5, 4, 3, 2, 4, or 10, 0. Now that we have our 4 plots pointed, we can now connect the dots to form our linear line. Now we know what the linear line would look like for the equation 2x plus 4y is equal to 20 if we decided to graph it onto a coordinate plane.